So Vaibhav has given this interview with TCS, right, Vaibhav? TCS only, no?
Yes.
Okay. And with how much of years of experience?
4 plus.
4 plus, no? Okay. So these are some technical questions. So I'm not going to explain this. So almost like we have seen. Now managerial question, right? So whenever either your experience is 4 year, 5 years, 6 years, right, greater than 4 plus, so you are going to face either three rounds of interview. First two technical will be first two round will be technical. After that, sometimes managerial round will be there, or in some cases, second round will be your technical plus managerial. It's not like the real manager takes the interview, but the second round interviewer only asks this kind of question. Okay, so we are going to discuss the same thing. Now, this is very common question. Let me zoom a little bit. Anyone have faced this question? What is the major risk you have handled in your project? Or alternate, it will be like they will ask like, was there any task which was impossible or something you did differently or something was there? Or you can mention your task which was very difficult and somehow you completed it. Something like that they will ask. Anyone have faced this question? Might not the exact same, but kind of related. How come? Interview people. Okay, no one joined. Okay. Okay. So what they expect here, this question, if you are not given the intros yet, so this is very famous question. Okay. Once your all the technical questions are done, then they will ask this question. Okay, tell me about any task which was very difficult and you had to implement something which was not regular thing, right? So everyone, you should have a very proper answer ready for it. Again, this does not need that your task was very difficult one. It can be a very simple one also. But it should not be very simple like API call integration or interceptor. Have something task created for it. Okay. Let's say creating a custom tooltip directive means you have to create a directive, and if you add that directive anywhere, so tooltip will come. So for that directive, will pass the input and tooltip will come. So in the directive, you are creating dynamic HTML and appending the text whatever you get from the input, like that. Okay, that's one example I'm saying. He create or even ask the chat GPT or cloud that this is the very famous question what we normally get asked. Provide some scenarios what I can prepare for this answer. Understood? What type of answer they expect over here? Vaibhav,
Yes.
did you answer anything or no?
I answered it like a complex UI structure. I developed.
Means design, UI
Yeah,
design.
UI design. There is
Okay,
a unique UI design in my project application. So that I explained.
okay. But
Project migration also we can
yeah,
add.
migration also you can add because when you do project migration, so many difficulties we face. Right, but again, while you don't have to say ki, yeah, project migration, right, have some what was the difficulty, how you solved it, that answer they look. Okay, not everyone will face this kind of thing, so but your answer should be there. Create your answer. If you have not created one something like that, create your answer. Okay, then second question, what is the development cycle in your current project? What do we mean by this? What is the development cycle, life cycle in your project? What do we mean by development life cycle? Anyone?
Creating PR and merging to the pipeline and all that stuff.
Right? So how does, if you are a developer, how you work daily, right? You have a scrum, you have a sprint. In sprint, let's say 2 week sprint or 3 week sprint, certain number of tasks will be there in your sprint. Then certain tasks you will get assigned. Whenever you start the work, you start the ticket, make it in progress. Then whenever you in the sprint planning, we provide the estimation like, yeah, this story I will complete in 2 day or 3 day. So you have to add 8 hours or 7 hours, whatever the time you have worked in that ticket, right? Then you start working on that ticket. Then let's say your development is complete. You raise a PR. Your TL reviews it. Again, you fix something if you have got some feedback. Then your PR get finally merged. Then whenever a sprint gets started, a sprint release branch is getting created. All the sprint related branch then get finally merged to your master. Then you deploy the master to the production. Then again, let's say while working on while testing in the production, you got some issue. So we do the prod fixes, right? Whatever the branch, what release branch we create, there we fix it. Then again, whatever the fix you have added in the release branch, that we merge it again into the master. So that whole cycle, again, not necessarily you might be knowing everything, right? But whatever you know, how things are happening in your project, mention it over there. Understood? It's okay. Like remaining things you didn't explain. Whatever answer is expected as what you do while working on your project, that they are looking for. Ki how confidently you are able to tell. Understood? Second, again, that day-to-day ethics, like what you do, right? So, what are the day-to-day ethics you use for reporting on a day basis, weekly basis, or what is the matrix? Now, yeah, Brijesh, go ahead
सर
quickly.
ये वीडियो भी मिलेगा ना, मतलब अपलोडेड अपने उसमें आज
Recording.
का ये भी लिंक
Yes,
मिल जाएगा ना? ओके
yes,
ओके
yes.
सर।
Okay, so what are the name ethics? Ethics, matlab, when you work on a company, some rules and regulation we have to follow, right? So this is very pure managerial round question. It has nothing to do with your development or nothing. So what you should follow, right? Whenever you are talking with someone else, either, when we are in a work from home zone, right? So you cannot directly call someone. You should first message it, hi, call. If the person said yes, then only you should call. So something related to that you can say this in this question. Again, someone will, if you are answering like this, is the normal. And if he said, no, not like that, but in a technical or in a project to project. So then you can change your answer like if I am working on a particular task or you are going on a leave, how your team, like let's say 2 weeks sprint is there and you have three tasks assigned to that. But let's say you have to take a leave, emergency leave. So have you created a backup for that? Right? Whenever you go on a leave, you should have to provide a backup or you will complete your work before the time. Right? So those kind of related things you can explain. But answer should be there. It should not be go empty. Whenever it is a managerial round, they want to check like how much person is talking. What is the common sense you have? You are able to communicate properly or not? How you think? Everything they want to judge. Okay. So here you can mention two types of answer. Then,
Chetan sir, this question is the same one, huh? The day-to-day ethics, and further he elaborated what are the reports you have used in Agile for reporting whether the
uh,
development is on track or delaying.
okay.
This
Reporting as in normally we don't means developer won't use, that Scrum Master or they will check, burn chart. But that should not ask for a developer, In Jira we have burn chart and too many different reports we have. Like how
that's what
many
he was expecting. But I was not able to answer that. Like
It's
I
okay.
said,
How you will know na burn chart? That is only for because we don't have. Sometimes we have access to that, but why you will check burn chart na? So just remember burn chart. Burn chart is like whenever you add a log na time. So how much time use all the developer log according to that they calculate the velocity. So velocity is like you have a team of 20 people. So how much work 20 people can give? Okay, based on that next sprint they get that much of work. So that is what velocity report or burn chart report. Okay. Then Jira. Okay. So they will ask you either are you working with Agile framework or not? Are you using Jira or not? Right? Forget about the report. As I said, no one will ask you for the report. But be clear what is Agile. What is Agile? Can anyone explain? What is the use of Agile? Vaibhav, what is Agile?
for project management.
Yeah, but project management tool, we can say Jira. Agile is not a project management.
It is
development
As a
I don't know, when we
as
were
a
in
task.
engineering,
Agile is a model too.
it's a kind of a model, right? In engineering, you might have heard waterfall model. What was waterfall model?
waterfall means like in one go we'll develop everything.
Right? So
And
before starting
Agile.
your project, you know everything what you want to develop. Your whole project requirement is clear. Okay. In that way, all the tickets are created in one go. And you have a deadline, yeah, within next 6 months, 1 year, we have to complete it. That is waterfall, where whole of your requirement is clear. Okay. What you have to build, that is clear. Then what was the second one? Spiral or what? After waterfall, some model was there. No?
Project planning, sir, actually.
Yeah, project planning. No, just like waterfall, we had one more model. What do we call it? Spiral or what? I forgot that. Let's search it. This is spiral. Okay. So spiral model is like incremental. Okay, you don't know everything, but time by time you get to know something. Okay, yeah, first we will complete this. Once this is completed, then next thing, then next thing. That was spiral model. Okay. Now agile is also an improvement of spiral model. So in agile, what we know what we are supposed to build, but the requirement is not clear at the beginning. So we start just next 2 weeks or next 3 to 4 weeks, what we are supposed to build, that we get to know. So we just focused on that. Overall project we know, okay, yeah, ultimately this is our goal, but all the response functionality is not clear yet. Okay. So we start step by step. Let's say in first sprint, we have taken three stories. Let's say project setup, login form, and registration. Only three stories we had. Then first sprint got over. Then that first sprint deployment, we live it on over something. Then user started testing and they found that, yeah, in login page, we need a forget password functionality also. Again, our whole login page, that same ticket we created, again, there is a change. Okay. So whatever the feature you are developing, changes will keep on coming until that feature is completely developed. Okay. So we follow the agile where requirement is not clear, but we move on while development. Something we delivered, then again we get changes, again we fix it, like that, a development cycle. Okay. So for managing this, we use Jira. Jira is a project management tool. Okay, so there we can create a sprint. Sprint is like we fix a duration. Okay, yeah, 2 week sprint, 3 week sprint, and within the 2 week sprint, we pick a particular task. Yeah, in this 2 weeks of sprint, we will deliver this task. Okay, then once that before starting the sprint, we will have the sprint planning. So there, project manager or scrum master will explain all the ticket. You get to ask the question. Ki, yeah, if you have any question, ask it. So before starting the task, you have everything knowledge about that ticket or the feature ready. Okay. Once your knowledge requirement is done, then we start the sprint. API development also start, UI development also start. Once your development is complete, then you deploy the changes. Then you have sprint review meeting. How was the sprint? What we did good. Sometimes they will call it as a retrospective meeting also. Just to figure out, yeah, we completed 2 week sprint. What challenges we faced? Did something good, right? Something we discuss in that, so that in the next sprint we can work on it. That is sprint retrospective meeting. So that is then again we will start a new sprint planning. Next set of stories we will keep, and this cycle will keep on going. Okay. There is a term backlog. What is backlog? You might have heard backlog.
The
pending
current
work or
Who create the backlog?
project manager.
Project manager or your scrum master. Okay. Backlog is like a bucket. There, your project manager or your client will create all the ticket. Whoever knows the business, he will create all the ticket. Then Scrum Master will decide ki, yeah, out of 100 in backlog, 100 tickets are there, 100 features are there. Out of that, in this sprint, which ticket we can pick? So he will pick up that from backlog and add it to the current sprint. Okay. So that is everything about your agile. Then communication. How does communication happen in your project? How many stakeholders are both internal? What are stakeholders? What are stakeholders?
Project manager.
Project
DA,
manager.
technical architecture.
Yes.
Okay.
Business analyst.
Who handle all the
So
project.
it's
Whole
not
project.
like only project manager, above the project manager. Okay. Sometimes stakeholders we can consider as a client also. You might have worked on a project where clients also join your Scrum call. Have have anyone had that experience? Your daily Scrum call, client will also join. Anyone have done like that?
Yes.
Right?
Participated in
Yes.
Right. So that is nothing but stakeholder. They are the person. For them, we are building application. Okay. How does communication happen in your project? So they want to check you're using your Teams, Skype, what you are using to communicate. How do you communicate? How many Scrum calls happen? So in so many teams, we have a Scrum call in morning and one in the evening also. One morning is just to connect within ourselves, and one in the evening, that is the actual Scrum call where Scrum Master will be present. On-site team will be present. So stakeholders means the senior people. Sometimes it can be client also. Sometimes it can be project managers also. So internally and externally means there are so many times in a project there are multiple companies people are working in a single project, right? So when project manager is from another company, so we will call it as external also. Okay. So whatever you are working on a project, so whatever you feel, you can answer it. It can be wrong, it can be not up to the mark, but he should get the idea that, yeah, you tried something, right? You are not silent. Okay. How do you manage the dependency with the other team and deadline? Specifically, if you have 8 story point. Okay. 8 story. What do we mean by eight? First of all, what is story point? Yes.
In our project, we consider it as a day.
Right. We have what? Two.
One story point is one day.
Yeah.
We can
One. It's not a day. It hours, right?
8 hours. Yes.
One means half day, I think. Two means one day. Let's check it. Agile story points estimation. Let's see it. अरे यार. Okay, here, see, one story point means it's a very small work. Yeah, within 1 or 2 hours you can complete that. So less than 2 hours. Two story means half a day, half day. Three story point up to 1 to 2 days. Five story points, it can be 2 days or 3 days. Then eight, around a week, and 13 is the topmost. Okay. When does this story point come into the picture? When do we use this story point? In sprint planning,
Sprint
right?
planning.
So whenever you are taking a sprint, let's say you are starting a sprint. It's a 3 week sprint and around 20 tickets are there. And each developer is going to get 2 or 3 tickets. So your Scrum Master will ask you before starting the sprints, you get to know, okay, yeah, these are the 3 tickets you are supposed to work. So, or sometimes your UI lead will throw the story point. He will do the analysis of all the stories and he will throw all the story point. Means how much time we are going to need for particular task. So in sprint planning, there is a game also. In sprint planning, we play a game. What is that game? Anyone have participated in your sprint planning? We play a game known as Joker. Means a UI team is there. Let's say 5 UI team members are there. Okay, so you get a cards. Just like cards we have. So there it is, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, 1, 2, 3,
Planning
5,
poker.
13. Yeah, sorry, planning poker. Okay, so you have to turn your camera. Then Scrum Master will say the story name. He will explain it. Then he will ask everyone to show the card. Means for same story, every developer has to estimate their story point. So then let's say two developers said, yeah, I will need 5 stories, and one developer said 13 point. Then whatever the person he said max, he has to explain why he thinks like it needs 13-point story. So that Scrum Master will get a cumulative idea. Yeah, what is the average? Then they will go with that. Okay. So that is their planning poker. I forgot the name. Okay. So story point means like how much time you are going to need for a particular task. Okay. Then, so if you said, yeah, one developer is there that has one feature, one task assigned, which was for 8 story point. So it's almost a week, right? And let's say the task which he is working, API is going to develop by some another team. It's not within your team, it's a other company who is going to develop the API. Their sprint time might be different. So many things happen. When on a one project, multiple teams work now, it's very hard to manage the dependencies because unless their sprint, unless they complete the work, how you will start the work, right? So before starting that only, you have to know, yeah, whatever the dependent APIs or something other team is, you are dependent on it. So make sure they are one sprint ahead. If you are a UI team, you should be one sprint back, right? So that is the answer you have to specify. If multiple teams are there, before starting the sprint only, we have to say if you are dependent task, if API is getting developed by some another team. So before starting our sprint, we should have it ready. Or if same time we are going to have, so we should ask, yeah, this API, in how many days we are going to get. After that, we should start our story. So that they will ask you, if multiple teams are there, dependencies are there, so how you will manage. Okay. Again, whatever the questions we have, everyone might expect different things, but whatever you say, it's okay. Okay. Because there is no particular answer to any question. Okay. Now, okay, it was the same, which was 3 dependency other team, how will handle it delay from the other side. So that's what I said, if it is from other team, how you will handle the dependencies, right? So you have to keep a buffer also. What is buffer? What is buffer
Some
time?
extra time required. Some extra time required to complete
Right?
task or
Let's say you have
assignment.
a task, you know that task can be completed in a 1 day. But in story time, you will buy 2 day for that. So that if something happens, you have 1 more day to play around. Okay. So that is the buffer time. Whenever you discuss, whenever you throw the story point, you don't have to be loyal, right? Every time you keep some time in a buffer. Okay. Now, what is spillover? What is spillover? You might have heard at least everyone is working on Agile, right? What is
Whatever is not completed in this particular sprint will be counted as a spillover for next sprint.
right? So let's say in this week, 2 week sprint was there, and around 15 tasks were there in a 2 week sprint. Out of that, only 10 tasks got completed, but remaining 4 tasks has not been completed yet. So we move those to a next sprint. That is nothing but spillover. Okay, clear everyone? So the tickets from the current sprint which were not completed, that you are going to continue in the next sprint. That is nothing but spillover. External certification. Now, what do we mean by external? First of all, what is certification? What type of certification you guys know,
Like cloud certification, Java
right?
certified.
Cloud certification, AWS, Azure, for Angular
Oracle
also,
certification.
Oracle, different certifications are there. Not the courses certification. You join your Udemy and you got the certification. Not that. Where you have to pay and then you have to give the exam, then you get the certification. That is certification. Okay. Either it can be your cloud one, Microsoft one, your Angular one, JavaScript one. Okay. Those are the certification. Any improvement or innovations you have contributed in your project. Now, this can be it's okay if you don't answer, right? Because we are an Angular developer. We have a limitation like what you can do. Sometimes, let's say, one task was there which had, let's say, a big page was there, and in that page we are showing so much of data. Let me open a then I will try to explain. This I had similar similar scenario I had done, so I use this to explain it. So consider you have a detail page, okay? And let's say employee management application you're working. And in that employee management application, you have employee information, his old project, his multiple skill. In that skill also, what version specifically he has worked on, right? Then his family details. So many multiple information is there. So instead of showing that in every, text box, label, key value there. So instead of having it and a big scroll will coming, obviously so much information is there, so big scroll will coming. So instead of doing that, what you can do, you can create a stepper, one step, second step, third step, fourth step. So here basic, if you click on the basic, only basic information will be there. If you click on project information will be there. If you click on skills will be there, right? These are kind of improvement. Yeah, something was there like that, but that was not so much user friendly. So I suggested this approach. Understood? Like that. So something you can create. Try to create a scenario and have that answer ready for you. Okay. Then let's say again, as a specific to Angular developer, let's say in your application, so much of data was there. Let's say either it is API call, master kind of data, drop down API call data. That drop down data is coming from API, and in every component, almost you are going to need that API call data. So in every component, you are making that unnecessary API call. So instead of doing that, you have handled some caching, you have suggested NGRX store, right? Or what do we have with RxJS also you have handled that, right? So just like that, yeah, some improvement you have explained. Okay, this is that question. Again, this major technical bottleneck and the first question was almost similar. Key technical bottleneck means you stuck on something but you didn't find any solution of it. So I will tell you one solution of it. Anyone have heard Spunk? Spunk only, no? Spunk. Let me check Spunk or what. You're able to see my screen, right? Guys, screen is visible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So, wait here, Spunk or something. There is a tool, Spunk, what do we say, vulnerability tool. Splunk, okay, Splunk. Okay, so when you work on Angular specific to .NET, Java, and wherever you use any third-party library, okay, so in Angular, let's say you are using some libraries for graph or some uh, tooltip or anything, any external library you use. So that library has any vulnerability, means it is exposed, it has some issues, security issues or something. Okay, so Splunk is that or not? Vulnerability scanner, yeah, that is just like Splunk. One, two or three again tools are there which goes through your project and check what are the packages are there, and is there any package which is not, which has some issues, okay, and that package you are using. So this tool will mention all the libraries wherever you have issue. Then you get a report that this is a particular package you are using in your Angular project, and that has some vulnerability, some code security or security release or something. It has some issue, even though that library is working properly, but it has some issue. Okay, so you get a report of that, then you have to fix it. That is very hard because let's say if we talk about PrimeNG in Angular, you are using PrimeNG. Last to last version, updated version you are using. But in that version, there was a vulnerability. Now you have to check why in that version you have that vulnerability, and in the next PrimeNG version is it handled or not. So you have to go to their page. You have to check what updates were there, whatever the vulnerability you have got. Is it mentioned over there like it is fixed or not? Right? You have to find a version where that vulnerability was not there. Then you have to roll back. Then you solve that vulnerability. Okay. Then again, sonar issues. Sonar also check all your code. If you have created a variable, and while creating variable you have declared it late, but that variable value you didn't change. So ideally it should have been cost, but you didn't. You have gone with the late. So those kind of issue you will get. So many sonar issues you will get. So that also we have to fix it. So those kind of thing you can mention in technical bottleneck. Okay, understood this? So this kind of question you should be aware. If your experience is more than 4 or 5, you are definitely going to face at least 1 or 2 questions from this. Clear, everyone? Okay. So technical is a one thing, but currently what is happening because of AI, and so companies are not only looking for a good people, good UI developer or good Angular developer. They want a software developer. Okay. Uh, Yesterday I contacted with one person who just got an offer with your what is the Johnson Control. Okay, so he was a React developer, but now he is going to work on some the framework they have internally, I think. Okay, so after technical round, the managerial question he asked him like, how do you got into software development? Now, what answer you will give? If someone is asking you, ki, how come you got into the software field? What answer? You cannot say, no, just to earn money, or just I had to do a job and I was from a technical stream, so I had to go get into this only. That is not an answer, right? How you will give the answer to this kind of question, right? So this kind of question they ask. So they are not looking for just a normal developer. They are looking for a person who really loves this thing. He is not doing this only for a job. You also know. Again, I'm not blaming. So most of you might be limited to the work, So whatever the task you are getting, you are working on that, and things are happening smooth. That's it. Whatever the task you are getting, you are completing it within the deadline, and you are happy. Your manager or TL is also happy. But you might have seen people, apart from your work, whatever the work we are supposed to do, they are doing some extra things also. Obviously, in every project, you might see some members like this. Yeah, they are completing what is expected to do, but sometimes they do, if you are in a company, they do some internal work also. Sometimes manager asks them to do some R&D, or they upfrontly saying, yeah, I'm free with this the weekend, or within this week I have some time, you can assign me some interviews or some extra thing I have to do, right? Because we are in IT field, so we have to show that attitude. So companies are looking for people who are not only good with one technology, they are open to learn another technology. They are not only limited to what particular application works, how Angular works. They know when we talk about Angular, how backend comes into the picture. What is the need of backend? What is the database? How do you deploy this application? What are different environments are there? What is cloud? Right? How the deployment happen, automatic build deployment, either your Jenkins or something like that, right? So for Angular developer also, they're asking this question. It's okay. No one is expecting you that you should know everything. They also know how Angular developer will know everything. But as a software developer, even though we are Angular, but ultimately we are software developer, right? There is no denying on that. So you should know everything about everything now. Not into detail, but at least a basic idea should be clear. What are file server? What are different types of servers we have, first of all? Different types of servers.
Local
Web
server and production server.
No, I'm not asking about that.
Web server, SQL server, and we'll also have file server.
No. That is database, no? I said servers.
AWS cloud, right?
Sorry, Raju, what you said?
Azure cloud.
Those are cloud. But in that also we have servers. Different types of servers we have.
Apache, like that.
Yeah, so Apache is called kind of a server. What else? Windows
Then,
server, Linux server.
yes,
Hmm.
something.
Those those are your servers. Okay.
Okay.
So when we didn't had cloud, so we used to deploy our application onto Windows server or Linux server. Now we got cloud, right? And again, internally they have the same thing, but we don't directly communicate with Windows or the cloud. So let's say, just like Windows and cloud, we have file server. So what is file server? Any file server you know.
FileZilla.
FTP.
FTP is a file transfer. What is? What is the long form of FTP?
File transfer
So
protocol.
that's not a server. That's a protocol. How do you connect to the server and upload your file? That is protocol. Okay, you know FileZilla. If anyone know FileZilla was there, or
Yeah.
one server was there. I forgot that. In early days, I used to do that. Okay, so we have S3 bucket. What is the use S3? You might have heard S3 bucket,
Amazon SQL service. Or
right? S3 bucket, blobs from Azure. So those are the file server where you store your files. So those are specific server which only handles your files. Whenever you upload a file and if your application is deployed onto cloud, so that file goes to the S3 bucket or if it is Azure blobs. Okay. Load balancer. Anyone have heard word load balancer?
Yes.
What is what does it does?
If there are like multiple servers, then it will revamp the request to do. So which like when there are like more than one servers, if you have deployed application on more than one servers, then load balancer will redirect the request to the particular service. It will help you that time.
Yeah, that is also one of the use. But let's say your application is there and you have deployed that application. Sometimes happen, na, your server might be down. Let's say you have deployed your application onto some particular zone, east zone or west zone, and that particular zone is altogether down. You know, last time happened some particular cloud, you know, AWS clouds from particular zones were down. So many applications were not working, right? So what we do when we deploy the application, we don't deploy it only on the one server. So we keep one more backup server. So if that main server gets down, another server act as a main server. Okay. So even though we should not know anything, we do no one is going to ask you question. But they want to check a candidate ki how much he is aware about everything.
That
Ki
is
his
actually
time is
DR,
there.
no,
That
basically.
is called as a disaster recovery, no?
That is disaster recovery is something else. That is, yeah, we can call it, but that load balancer
Okay.
is the term. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Those who are in TCS or Infosys or Wipro, Indian MNC specifically, you know, like they, if you are, I don't know if anything, if any one of you have seen something like that, even though you are an Angular developer, they will ask you to work on React or Next.js or even sometimes Java or .NET also. Anyone have something experience in Indian MNCs? Not a single person. So in TCS, Infosys, these things are very common. Okay, let's say you are Angular developer. If there are no openings for Angular developer and your notice period is your bench period is almost over, so they will provide you. Ki, yeah, currently we have React.js or .NET project. Are you willing to work on that? Okay, this happens almost with pressure because they don't have a way to choose. Yeah, I will work on this. Whatever they say, they have to work. So in previous batch we had Sarthak. So he joined means from college placement he got TCS So in 3 years, he had worked on Angular, Python, your PHP. In PHP, some framework was there. He has worked on that. And on one of the data science project also, he had worked. So in 3 years, he has worked on 4 to 5 different technology. Nothing relation. And then he wanted to change that his contract was about to over. Then he tried to do the switch, right? So then he came to realize that yeah, I'm not good in any of one of them, because after every 7 month or 6 month, his technology was keep on changing. So those who join these companies as a fresher, you can ask them. So they, because they have an agreement like that, whatever they say, they have to do it. Most of the people are still stuck on very old technology also, right? Okay. So again, the TCS news also you might have heard that who is that? Chandrasekharan, right? CEO, that how many employees they have. Just parallel to that, they are going to have that many AI agents also. So they will slowly stop all the hiring they are doing for freshers, and this decision is going to majorly affect for the fresher, because if they are going to build that many AI agent, I think with Anthropic they are going to do that. So if you have a fresher won't be able to work with AI agent because he doesn't have that logic or the business skill. Only experienced developer will have it, right? So you will slowly start seeing that TCS is not visiting colleges. They will reduce the number of hiring they were doing in for fresh talents. They will do, but they will reduce the number, or they will hire it for in AI related field. So previously, like Java developer, .NET developer, Angular, these things they were Python, they were hiring, but now they will more invest in the AI related stuff, data science related stuff. No more normal, because whatever we are doing, AI can do it better if an intelligent developer is there. Okay, I will share you a quick demo of it today, what I tried. Just a minute. Here I have that script. Just give me a moment. Stop the recording.